Lenihan for Boxing Social in association with Forged Irish Stout, Empire Fight Store. Been joined by Gareth A. Davies. Gareth, how are we, my mate?
I'm very well, thank you. It's been a long and busy weekend, and it's a long, busy, and dramatic weekend it's been, hasn't it? To be honest, very late night. It was over past midnight when they were in the ring in New York, so we know how late it was here. And I was on my way back from the Middle East, believe it or not. So, but I have caught it, watched it. I know what you want to talk about. The man Garcia, King Ryan.
Yeah, let's just address it. I mean, a lot of people before the fight, because of the antics in the build-up, had written him off. People are now saying he fooled everyone. Then other people are saying, no, actually, he didn't fool anyone. He can still have these thoughts and still produce a performance. Where do you sit? What's your assessment of what happened last night?
Well, I think all of those things could be true. But I think I said it all along. I think him staying focused on the fight, whatever he was going through, and I think he was being wild and wacky and thought, you know what, I'm just going to say what I want to say or whatever I feel like saying. And it paid off for him. I think Devin Haney underestimated him, as probably the Haney team did. Maybe even Eddie Hearn did. And I think that's what allowed them to agree to fight him, even though he's 3 pounds over the weight net. And I think Ryan Garcia was just going with whatever was going to be right. I think he maybe was calculating paying the forfeit and just went with it. And as he proved, absolute power. He beat Devin Haney up, knocked him down 3 times. Could have been more times. Devin was holding on for dear life in professional boxing terms, and in many ways, we'll find it very hard to come back against Ryan in the second fight. Even though I do think they'll have one, because it'll be enormous. The rematch will be enormous. Because going into the last 5 rounds, it was a very, very close fight. Anyway, I just had Garcia winning it. Obviously, one of the judges scored it a draw, but he was so powerful. But he was a bigger guy. He was probably bigger than by 12 pounds on the night, maybe 2 weight divisions in the end. And he gambled on it, and he also wound us all up, and in a way that he played super mind games, and it paid off for him. Boxing's a weird sport. It's an inexact science as well as a sweet science. And I think he just got his calculations right. I was talking to Gary Stretch about this. And Gary reckoned that Ryan Garcia was just having us all on the whole way along and just playing along and just doing what he wanted to do, winding people up, making people think he wasn't all there for the promotion and for the fight. And it probably did get into Devin Haney's head. Not that he was intimidated, but maybe thought, you know what, this is going to be a cakewalk for me.
Yeah. So a lot of people have commented on Devin's lack of the jab. You know, Devin's technically very sound, and you often see him sometimes shoulder out, paw at the jab, move around the footwork, and he almost was not loading up, but you could tell he wanted to put some meat on the end of every punch. So maybe he thought, you know what, while he's coming into this fight in potentially a vulnerable state, I'm going to try and make a statement. What I wanted to touch on first was, and it's sort of divided opinion a little bit, does the fact that Ryan came in overweight, although this has been a tremendous spectacle, does that tarnish the win slightly?
Yeah, it does, because you can criticise him over it, because it was unprofessional not making the weight. The world title wasn't on the line for him. Devin Haney knew again, which maybe makes him underestimate Ryan, that he knew his belts couldn't be taken away by Ryan on the night. So you can critique him over that. There's no question about it. You can critique him over the fact that, you know, he's perhaps plotted, or even just gone with it and plotted to come in there and just weigh whatever he's going to weigh, not worry about the forfeiture. I mean, you can critique the Haney team for taking it as well.
Yes, I'm going to come on to that.
You can do it both sides. I mean, they're not going to say no to the fight at that point, I'm sure. But maybe they should have made him rehydrate at a certain weight on the Saturday morning. I don't know if they did. I don't think they did. it's, they miscalculated against him, and they've been very quiet since. I didn't like some of the final talk about, hurting someone so that they were close to death, or I didn't like any of that.
Yeah, it got really personal at the start of
Oh,
the fight.
very resentful, very resentful.
I think it was hinted on before. I don't want to speak out of turn. That I think Garcia had made previous comments before in the build-up that had not sat well with the Haneys, and ever since then it was sort of like red rag to a bull, and it was we want to get him close to death. And I just thought, sport's dangerous enough without that talk. I mean, talk about, we've obviously from this side of the pond we experienced the loss recently, Willie Limond, and when you hear that, it's just it's not good, is it? But I suppose we're used to it in a way with the fight game. But yeah, what does Devin take away from this? What does he do from here? He's still got his belt, obviously. He's not lost that. What would you like to see him do?
Have a long, hard think about this, because he'll want a rematch with Ryan Garcia. But do they do it at 147 this time? Both of them? Because the fight is the fight now. A belt, they don't need a belt on the line. We've just seen an incredible fight in which Ryan Garcia, in lots of ways, even though, like I say, there's a caveat where you can criticize him, has become a crossover star. Everybody's talking about this fight now, that he was the big underdog, that was he unhinged on the way in? Was he unraveling? Were we going to see a man unraveling in the ring? We didn't. Whatever he went with all the way out. And I'd always said, and I'm sure I've said it to you, I've said it all along, better that he's focused on something if he's going through something and not focused on anything at all. We may see a fall now. We may see a low after the high coming. Yeah. You don't know. And remember, he went away from the sport for a while because of anxiety. Still a very young man. But I was very impressed with him, and I'm pleased for him in terms of what happened. Devin was on the way to being the next Mayweather, so he's been derailed in lots of ways. There's never going to be an unblemished record now. Garcia has lost once to Tank Davis. Haney's lost once to Garcia. Is it time for Tank and Haney to fight soon? Is Shaka Stevenson about to come into the mix soon? This whole powder keg of great fighters between 140, 147 is really building in America. They're two fantastic divisions at the moment. Obviously, Terence Crawford's going up to 154. He's older than them. He's 10 years older than these guys, so he's going to. And it is the right time for him to move up. But again, it rubber stamped how important these big fights are in America. It garnered a lot of attention last night. A lot of people have done enormous numbers on pay-per-view, I'm sure.
100%. You mentioned there Terence Crawford. Now, rumours that in the not too distant future, there's going to be an announcement of himself and Israil Madrimov for the 154-pound title. I believe the rumours to take place in LA. That's what I've heard. What a fight if that's to happen. And by the way, the last 18 months, when you look at fights that either you go to or you watch getting made, how refreshing is it that we're seeing people take a loss, don't matter, come back? When you look at your Wilder, your Zhangs, and now we're seeing like pound for pound best in the world against Madrimov, who's come off this terrific win in Saudi Arabia. What do you make of that?
Well, Madrimov, obviously, it's Terence stepping up to 154, light middleweight, as I call it, and or as us old timers call it. It's a really good fight for Terence. There's jeopardy there. But and obviously there are similarities to the power and the look sometimes of a Gennady Golovkin when he fights. Yeah. But Terence, I think it's a really good opponent for Terence, because Terence will be like a matador with the bull in this fight. He will be very clever at blocking him, very good at countering. I think it's really good matchmaking. It's a terrific fight because there's jeopardy there. Can't wait to see it. And I think there is there not a Saudi Arabian involvement in that LA fight? Or is there rumours of that?
Rumours of obviously Matchroom and the Saudi Arabian element to put on it. What a statement, obviously. His Excellency, as well as putting the big fights on in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, making moves, and it's almost like Fantasyland
It is, and he's doing a live Reddit tonight, isn't he, with the fans? Have you seen that?
Someone sent me something about it earlier, but
yeah, he's doing a Reddit tonight, answering all the fans, and I think that's brilliant because, as he's been saying, it's about I'm doing this for what the fans want to see, and I just think we're very lucky. I keep saying this to you every time we speak. We're in a really lucky period. I've been at this game a long time, and there've been some really dry periods, and you're just wondering where the next stars and the next big fights are actually coming from. So yeah, another great fight. Really, really can't wait.
Well, look, I know you're not long back from Dubai, so I appreciate you jumping on just for a bit of a quick catch up on this weekend's events. Is there anything else you want to touch on before we?
Yeah, there is. I think I thought Sean McComb was very unlucky last night.
I thought that was one of the worst decisions I've ever seen.
It was really not a good decision, and I think one of the judges scored it 7-3 to his opponent, and that is such a terrible home decision. I don't know. I don't get it. I really don't, because McComb countered really well. He caught his punches and countered. He found gaps in the door all night. I thought I had it 7-3 to him, to McComb.
I had that. I think, do you know, when these fighters go over here and you see from, Ireland, the UK, and you go to America for the big stage, we're well aware of Sean McComb. And you look at the and you think, terrific boxer. If this guy is not on it, or even if he is, Sean's a live dog in this fight. So you're watching, hoping he handles the occasion. And when you see the first 3-4 rounds that he is doing, you're like, wow, this guy's going to change his life with one victory.
Yeah, and but it went on and on and on like that through the bout. So I don't know. It's just very odd. To be honest, last night as well, I thought in the Garcia Haney fight that the referee was fairly skewed against Garcia as well.
Yeah, a few people have said that they've been really critical of him. And I think Sam Jones said he was Haney's best friend in there almost at the time.
Well, it wasn't that far. I wouldn't go that far because, he was trying to do his best. But I don't know. Well, Garcia won in the end. I'm pleased he won. But for him. But the other thing I liked was Ryan Garcia saying he'd come here and fight Conor Benn in the UK at welterweight. I know Conor's got to sort himself out and get his license with the Boxing Board of Control if possible. But again, Ryan Garcia over here in the stadium, little stadium fight would be fantastic. He's a big star now. He was a big star anyway, but I think to have his visitation in an event here in the UK would be tremendous.
Hopefully one day, the likes of himself, I'd love to see a Gervonta Davies over here as again.
Oh yeah. We have seen him, remember?
Against Walsh, but you know what I mean? Like,
was it Ryan Walsh, Liam Walsh? Ryan, yeah.
No. Liam Walsh. Yeah, Liam, definitely.
There's only 3 of them.
I know, but I've got it right. I'm 100% right with that. But yeah, get them all back over for something anyway. Appreciate your time as always, Gareth. Thank you for catching up with me. We will catch up next week, hopefully. Little review, Next Gen show, I believe, coming up in Liverpool.
Yeah, indeed. Israil and those guys, yeah.
Yeah, so be interesting to see how these young guns get on. So yeah.
Lovely. Well, you have a lovely evening. I'm gonna put my head down like this and go to sleep soon.
Yeah. I'm hopefully going to watch Liverpool turn this football match around because it's doing my head in.
Totally over my head. Totally over my head, lifesaver. Always great to speak to you.
No worries. Appreciate it.